Blazers Game 5. No Dame for Portland. No worries for LA. A playoff high 43 points for Anthony Davis. For LeBron, 36, 10, and 10. And the Lakers are moving on. First playoff series win for them since 2012. They now await the winner of Rockets Thunder, which we will talk about a little later. But Nick, what impressed you most about the Lakers in Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, Jenna, you alluded to it off the top of the show. It's one thing to win a series, another thing to win a series in 5 when you're clearly the massive underdog. And given the conversation surrounding the Lakers going into this series and after Game 1, I mean, they were the obvious and clear underdog. I mean, I shared a video this weekend that has some of my closest friends, some of the best sports commentators, and Paul Pierce on it all, explaining the structural advantages that the Portland Trailblazers had over the Lakers. We got the great Emmanuel Acho saying they have a better roster. You got Stephen A saying it'll go 7. He won't pick the Blazers to win, but it'll go 7. You got Coward picking the Blazers. My friend Adam Shine saying the Blazers got better start in 5. So I'm amazed the Lakers were able to do it. It turns out having the best player in the world and the best big man in the world is a really good structural advantage going into the postseason. And it turns out, Brandon, that people were writing LeBron James' playoff obituary a little too quickly after a mediocre Game 2 where they won by 30 points. So listen, the scrappy underdog Lakers continue to impress. Who knows when this Cinderella ride will end for them, Brandon? But I'm enjoying it, watching them along the way.
Wow, I mean, this team, this underdog team, they're playing amazing. And there's a few things that stand out to me. Number one is AD. He's been overshadowed by so many different headlines. LeBron on the court, LeBron off the court. Yeah. I mean, this guy just dropped 43 points, and he makes everything looks easy. And it's similar storylines coming out of, the Clippers locker room where we're talking about everything else besides the guys who are making the biggest impact on the court. So that's number one. The second thing that stood out to me was this was the team and this was the person LeBron James wanted. They waited patiently for AD. And there was two big questions that everyone had. Number one was, will AD actually come to LA? And number two, how would they gel? And I think Saturday we saw their chemistry on full display. And it reminded me of the old days, Stockton Malone. Now, I was a little baby back in the days, but I remember Stockton Malone in that pick and roll. I remember how they worked well off of each other. LeBron James, we talk about it all the time, his genius. And we say, what does that mean? He's as smart as Magic Johnson. He's as smart as Stockton. But what does that mean? Look at how he controls the ball and how he spaces out the court. He's great with his timing. Look at this play coming up here next, right? To the average person like myself, you would think that it's all about, it was a breakdown in defense. No, he backs up. He waits for the timing, the spacing, and then he goes to the basket. Easy.
That's a great point.
This is classic LeBron James, genius in clear view. Unbelievable.
I agree. I agree with 97.25. 68% of that. 0.2568% of that. The seal screen is a legal play. And I know the Celtics do it a lot. Be like, wow, do you remember that? I know the Celtics do it a lot. But if we could run it back,
hold on. I'm vetoing. I'm Wilds. You have done everything short of buy real estate in Portland. If you start this by talking about the legality of seal screens rather than owning your Portland travesty of the last month, I might walk off the set. No. If you start talking about moving screens instead of your beloved Portland Trailblazers and Melo and Dame and CJ and Nurkic is healthy and your stupid prediction box you'd never open, no. You got to own that they got whooped by 60 points in games 2 through 5, that it was never in doubt. That's what you need to talk about here, not the legalities of seal screens.
Wilds.
Go ahead,
Okay, I will address that. I will address the Blazers. Final thing on this seal screen. The reason why Brandon likes it is because it looks like a football play, JaVale McGee tackling it. But now you're right, it is a good play. Wrong sport, but I understand why you would like it, Brandon.
Look at this. Look at the genius.
Blazers. Genius.
Yeah,
the Blazers. Bill Belichick loves it. Okay, the Blazers.
Yes.
The Blazers. I was just in a rental car of my Blazers fandom, and I returned it to Hertz, and they said, how was it? I said, you know what? It started off running great, and then it ran out of gas, and it's got a few bumps and bruises on it, to be honest with you. And that'll tell you something else, Mr. Hertz. Not Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about the Hertz rental car imagination guy. Are the Timberwolves going to be good?
This is so exciting.
Spurs going to be good?
Well,
no, but what do they do? Brett Brown's getting fired.
This is so exciting. I'll tell you. Hold on, Wiles. I'll tell you what they're going to do. Because, you know, it was all good just a week ago when this was the narrative.
When healthy, the Blazers are a 3 or a 4 seed.
Well, so go into next year healthy. Be a 3 or a 4 seed. That's it, right? Now, see, this happened. I can't believe it's actually happening in real time. It goes from the LeBron and the Lakers should be scared, or LeBron and whatever team he's on should be scared, to the moment playoff LeBron nukes them. You know what? That team might suck. Might need to blow it up. Fire the coach. Trade CJ. I don't even know if they're a playoff team next year. You can't do this.
They're not.
It is unbelievable, Brandon, what's happening.
You say they have nothing?
The Blazers were the trendy, sexy team. They present all these matchup problems. When Nurkic is out there, they're a totally different team. And now it's like, you know what? I think they might be the 8th seed if they're lucky next year. Of course this is where it goes. Of course, folks are going to pretend they were not riding the Blazers bandwagon. Brandon, you weren't here yet, but Wildes used a car analogy. After game 1, he used a different car analogy. That was the Lakers are a car in your yard on cinder blocks with no tires.
So this is the thing with Wildes. So this is the thing with Wildes.
They're blowing a team up, Brandon.
Go ahead, Brandon.
So this is the thing with Wildes. You like to use these car analogies. What's going on, Wildes?
Well, we're presented by Dodge Ram, so I try to bring in a lot of Dodge Ram, but only when the Dodge Ram is good. Every other car is terrible. No, look, I said the Blazers were dangerous, and there's more on that later in the show.
With his Blazers take.
It's so outrageous.
Lakers moving on after that gentleman's sweep. Take a turn, talk some football on the other side next. First things first. Oh, wild. The Lakers game in a second. We got to start this morning, though, with a little Clippers and Mavericks. Game 6. L.A. with a chance to close out the series. Dallas without Kristaps Porzingis again. So it fell on Luka to carry the Mavs, and he certainly did his part. 38-9-9 for Luka. Not enough, though. Clippers winning behind Kawhi Leonard. 33 points, 14 boards for Kawhi. As the Clippers move on, they now await the winner of the Nuggets Jazz series. But let's focus on this one for a sec. Nick, what did Kawhi and the Clippers prove by closing out the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games?
Well, to me, Jenna, those are two very different questions. Kawhi once again confirmed he is year in, year out one of the best and most consistent playoff performers in the league. He picked up exactly where he left off last postseason in this series. And if it wasn't for what Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell and Luka and LeBron have done in the first round, I think more people would be focused with, like, wait, what did Kawhi average? 33, 10, and 5 on better than 50% shooting for the series. He was great. So he confirmed what he has been showing over the last 4 years when he's healthy. He's one of the best playoff performers in basketball. The rest of the Clippers, on the other hand, Brandon, didn't show me much. Paul George, after his breakout Game 5, was bad again. The Clippers, even when Kristaps misses the second half of this series, and the only real threat you have is Luka, they can't slow him down, and Marcus Morris continues to, well, be Marcus Morris. So, like, very impressed by Kawhi. But the Clippers as a whole, Brandon, I thought, pardon me, were B-ish in the series.
It's too early to be talking about Marcus Morris right now. Give my guy a break. I know you covered him when he was in diapers, but leave him alone. To me, this series was all about all the other headlines outside of Kawhi. You are right there, Nick. That fourth quarter reminded all of us who Kawhi Leonard is. When I was watching that fourth quarter, I just had to go back and look at the stat sheet. I mean, this guy started the series with 29 points. And then he followed it up with 35. And then a 36. Then 32, 32. And, he ended the series with 33 points. And while he was diving on the floor and playing lights-out defense, this guy definitely picked up what you said, Nick, where he was last year in the postseason, that championship run. Kawhi Leonard needs to be talked about more, but I get it. I understand. We were talking about PG. We were talking about Luka and how amazing he is. He's the face of the NBA. And even through Marcus in there, it's time for us